For years, I've been advocating that we spend less time staring at screens, that we re-examine the relationship we have with most of this digital technology. Most of the response I get is positive. People tend to say, yeah, this is something we really need in society right now, but every once in a while, I'll get the question, why this? Why is this the problem that you determined that you wanted to solve? And for this, I think about the intersection of motivation, agency, and impact, because this is what we really are looking for when trying to determine what's the best use of our time as far as, what issues we want to address in society. Society has tons of issues, there's no shortage, and there's no shortage of people who probably think that there are more pressing concerns and other things that I should be addressing. After all, we have things like poverty, homelessness, conflict overseas, our divisions, etc., etc. For me, this problem actually addresses that intersection of motivation, agency, and impact. Motivation simply is, do I really feel motivated to solve this problem? And for me, I'm one of the strongest extroverts out there. If I take the Big Five personality test, I usually score in the 90th to 95th percentile for extroversion. I also know what it's like to go without social interaction. I've had this happen a couple times in my life, most recently during the explosion of social media when I felt a little bit rejected when I would be talking to someone and they would just have their phone out. It just didn't feel really well, and that really motivated me to try to tackle this issue. The next part of it is agency, and agency is really, can I do something about it? And when I think about this, I think about the intersection of what is your skill set, what are your talents, and also where do you have some sort of a position of authority? So if we're talking about an issue such as global conflict, okay, someone that's a really good diplomat and is in some kind of a position of authority is probably the right person to address this problem. As for myself and many of the people around me, maybe for this issue, not so much. Although it sucks, I'm not the person to solve it. Finally, and the one I want to talk about the most is impact, which is how impactful will your solution be? You could be motivated as you want to solve something and have the talents and agency to do so, but if it's not really that impactful, if it's not really going to change anything, impact anything, then, well, maybe it's not the right thing for you to be spending your time on. But for me, I view the impact of this excessive use of screens as having many secondary and tertiary effects that sometimes go unnoticed. See, obvious is the amount of time that we spend. People can lose up to 20 hours per week staring at screens unintentionally if you consider TV, video game consoles, as well as the standard laptops and smartphones. But what more is going on? You see, we're also taking away the space for us to connect with one another and the space for us to be creative. And this has the potential to help people address so many of these other problems that people talk about. If someone is no longer constantly bombarded with unnecessary information, video content that's brain rot, imagine someone suddenly looking and saying, hey, cancer, what if I thought about this from this angle? Or, hey, this person I connected with has a really good conversation and we could really address some of these issues that are dividing us. Imagine what can happen then, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like this particular issue is a very impactful one. So for me, this is the right issue to solve, but the beauty of humanity is that we all are different people. We all have different motivations. We have different talents. We're in different positions. And sometimes we could even have different views on what's impactful. And therefore, this is the problem for me to address, but maybe for you it's a different problem. I urge you to examine this intersection of motivation, agency, and impact, and feel out for yourself what problem you want to solve, and hopefully to solve it, you can use some of the tools that I have or anyone else has around cutting down on these unnecessary distractions so you can actually think it through and solve the problem.